Hey everyone, in the video today, we're going to go capture some aerials over some of the most spectacular scenery on Earth. All right, let's go. There's a few factors to consider before you do aerials. Number one, having a plan in mind. What is it you're going up to capture? What are you going to be flying around, and what is the vision that you have for the images that you're trying to create? So you got to have a bit of a game plan. The other strong one is communication with the pilot, not just before the flight, but during the flight, making sure that you can make adjustments in real time up in the air. So the first thing, when it comes to the planning, one thing that I really like to do in the mountainous regions is actually either shoot directly towards the sun or have side light coming in. If I have the back towards us, all the mountains have an even amount of light on them then. And personally, I just find it very hard to showcase depth when that's happening. But when you have particularly side light coming in over the mountains, that's where we can often get beams if the humidity is high enough, and you get a really good separation between all the ranges. It's just a far more dramatic image, in my opinion. And I'm a sucker for dramatic images. What I'm looking at the moment, this time of year, we're just coming out of summer, so obviously through the year the sun direction is changing, and here in Fiordland, just right outside the backyard there, there's so many different fjords, and they all obviously have different angles on them. So there's a particular arm here, Breaksea Sound, with two beautiful arms coming off, the Vancouver and the Broaden arm, and the sunset gets very close to lining up that arm. So I wouldn't mind trying to get out there, incorporating some mountains in the foreground to get that depth and that scale, and then have the arm of the water in the background to lead the eye straight towards that beautiful light. So that's the rough game plan for today's shoot. What I like to use often is Google Earth, and then you can use something like Photo Pools or the photographer's ephemeris to pull up your locations and have a look where the sun's going to be at a certain time. Earth is obviously spectacular for looking at, you know, your rough composition. It really helps you out in that regard. So I like to use that to get a ballpark idea. A huge aspect though of photography in general, but particularly aerials, is being spontaneous and reacting in the moment, reacting to the light. And I'm going to tell you now, 80% of the time we get up in the air and then the plan goes out the window because I see something even better than I had originally planned. So you have to allow for spontaneity as well. So when it comes to gear in the plane, I generally stay away from the ultra wide because you just pick up too much of the wing and the strut. So I'm going to be rocking the mid-range zoom on one body and then the 100 to 400 mil on the other, using the mid-range more for trying to pick up obviously a wider perspective and get the fjord and everything. I like the 100 to 400 just to heavily compress all those mountain layers. The pilot I'm flying with today, when it comes to communication, Shaun is someone who I've done years upon years of aerial photography with. I reckon we're probably close to 100 flights now over the last 5 or 6 years, and we have a really good connection, a really good system. He knows how I like to work, and yeah, it's always a breeze. So if you haven't flown before, definitely make sure that you've got that initial contact and speak with the company and the pilot that you're working with.
I reckon two-way comms is quite important because it's really hard to convey what you mean with hand signals. It's much better to be able to, if you've actually got a microphone, you can talk to the pilot and say, can you lift the wing, can you lower the wing?
Why do you unplug it when I start talking?
Oh, it's your accent.
So here we are, as you can see, it's definitely snug, but it gets the job done. And this is important, being able to open the window. So if you're going to shoot aerials, you really want to check out the windows first, whether it's a helicopter, plane, because you can run the risk of getting reflections bouncing back, and even just weird artifacts with the light hitting the perspex. You can definitely get shots through it, but it's a gamble, and the last thing you want to do is get up there and spend the money and then not be happy with the images. So this one opens up, and then when I'm up there, the wind will hold that in place so I can let go. So I always tell Shaun my rough game plan, but he knows all too well that it's probably going to get thrown out the window. So we'll let him know what we're thinking, and then we'll get up in the air and we'll see what we find. something spectacular that happens out here when the light just gets at that perfect angle and all the little valleys just get illuminated, so you get the beautiful separation between the mountains. And that as the temperature is dropping, all these clouds start to build up and the light hits that, and it's just a work of art. And it only lasts 5-10 minutes at the most, and yeah, it's obviously a challenge trying to capture that, but it's absolutely humbling. If you can get a photo, it's some of the most rewarding stuff ever, because you do only have that very short, brief, fleeting moment in time. And for me, these are probably the shoots that I enjoy the most, where you're just being completely spontaneous. And yeah, when you see the landscape come to life like that, and you're getting a perspective that's very rarely ever seen, yeah, it's just the pinnacle. It's beautiful. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if you have any questions at all about aerial photography or any photography in general, just let me know in the comments. I'll always get back to you. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.